Hey everyone, I'm Wizzy and welcome back to the Isabella Banks YouTube channel. Today, I'm so excited to reintroduce the Spare Review series, originally created when Spare first hit the shelves in 2023. Some of the references you'll hear in the video might feel a little bit dated now, given everything that has happened since, but it's still a powerful look back, especially for those who intend to participate in the quizzes and the Spare Championship thereafter. Watching these early videos, including this review series, reminds me just how much I've learned and grown on YouTube since I started. And I couldn't be more grateful to all of you who have been here with me from the beginning. Thank you so much for your amazing support. Now, let's dive into the review. Everybody's talking about the Spare, but what is the Spare? Prince Harry tells his version of the story about the tragic death of his mother, Princess Diana. Harry talks about his life within the royal family and his marriage to Meghan. So how has the general public reacted to the release of Prince Harry's book, The Spare? In America, the New York Times has stated that Prince Harry's book, The Spare, has claimed the #1 spot on the New York Times bestseller list. That is quite a feat for someone who has never written a book before in their entire lives. In another publication, the Los Angeles Times, it is reported that Prince Harry's book, The Spare, sells 3.2 million copies in its first week. In other articles in the UK, it has been reported that The Spare sold 1.4 million copies on the first day. The success of Prince Harry's book has been undeniable. However, what do we see in the tabloids? As you may see on the screen, Prince Harry should have been Prince William's wingman, has become his hitman instead, royal expert says. That doesn't sound good. Now you might ask, why is the UK media flipping out so badly just because Prince Harry has written a book? Well, the only way to find out is to dive into the contents of the book. So let's go. At the beginning of the book, you've got a prologue where Prince Harry describes a meeting that he had with Prince William and King Charles at Frogmore when he came to the UK. It's important to note that he was very nervous about the meeting, but he went through it anyway. It's also important to note that Prince Harry requested the meeting. I think that's quite admirable given the fact that he is the youngest out of the group. On the other hand, given Prince Harry's position, it was quite understandable that he would be the one to reach out and make the attempt to resolve the conflicts. As you go through the book, Prince Harry gives us a clearer understanding of the power structure in the family, which to summarize was King Charles being the monarch. Prince William has less power than King Charles but more power than Prince Harry. I think that Prince William and King Charles have felt sufficiently secure in their positions within the family and therefore didn't see any reason to attempt a reconciliation with Prince Harry. Prince Harry notes that his brother and his father kept him waiting for quite a while before they showed up. There appeared to be no give in their demeanor. The only concession was them agreeing to attend the meeting in the first. Given the different mindsets between the brothers and the father, King Charles, it's quite unsurprising that when they did eventually begin the conversation, attempting to resolve the conflict, it only ended up in an argument. Until Prince Charles had to intervene saying, "Please boys, don't make my final years a misery." Oh my God, there's just so much to say about that, and it's quite rich coming from King Charles. But to keep this video on pace, I'm just going to skip over that for the moment. In the end, his father and brother say they didn't understand the reason why Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan fled the UK for their lives. All I can say to that is, wow! Oh, wow! And that is probably the same reaction Prince Harry had as well. Chapter 1 of the book takes us to Prince Harry's childhood, particularly a summer holiday at Balmoral. In taking us to his time at Balmoral, he tries to describe Balmoral as he perceived it at his age of 13 years old. Princeharry says Balmoral was simply paradise, a cross between Disney World and some secret Druid grove. Sounds very Harry Potter-ish to me. He also says I was also always too busy fishing, shooting, running up and down the hill to notice anything off about the feng shui of the old castle. That second paragraph says it all, but then again says nothing, which I think is just a brilliant way Princeharry had of introducing new topics as he went along in the book. I think it's quite funny how Princeharry makes reference to his ancestry with wry self-awareness in describing the landscape of Balmoral. For instance, Princeharry alludes to his great-great-great-great-great uncle, Henry IV, who got himself exiled and then came back to annihilate everything. And the reason why I call it a wry self-awareness is that he probably finds it funny, and he's very aware that that's what everybody is saying about him. I mean, in his own words, what he says is, "My distant king," Harry says, "my kindred spirit," some would claim. Who are the people who are saying that a man like this is Prince Harry's kindred spirit? It's nothing but the media. It's splashed all over the newspapers, and when there's reference to him, references like this are used to compare him to someone who is trying to topple the monarchy. Let's have a look at how the UK media reported on Prince Harry's description of Balmoral. In a newspaper headline, they say, "To me, Balmoral was a paradise. Prince Harry lifts lid on life at royal retreat in new book." I must say, I give them credit, they are consistent. They completely left out hints that Prince Harry had given in the previous chapter of the darker side of life at Balmoral, like the Queen who had locked herself into her bedroom and refused to come out because she was mad with grief, or the sense that Prince Harry came to have that there was either a problem with the family or the castle. I really love the style of writing in this book because Prince Harry and the ghostwriter performed gentle twirls like a ballet dancer coming out of a turn from one topic, idea, concept to the next one. Having described Balmoral where he lived, he then now introduces the concept of the heir and the spare. In normal family lives, this is like the golden child and the scapegoat. But for the royal family, this takes on more serious meaning as Harry begins to make clear. He describes how one of the bedrooms at Balmoral had been divided into two. The larger side, with a double bed and a good-sized basin cupboard, was given to William, whereas he had the smaller, less luxurious side. In his mind, he understood it. He understood that it was because Prince William was 2 years older than he was, and he was the heir, whereas Prince Harry was the spare. For him, there was no judgment about it because the fact that he was the spare had been reinforced to him over and over again. According to Prince Harry, there was no judgment about the fact that he was treated differently from Prince William. Prince Harry was brought to this life merely as a shadow to support his brother Prince William, the heir. He was the plan B, brought into the world in case something happened to Prince William. In his own words, and starkly stated, he says, "I was summoned to provide backup, distraction, diversion, and if necessary, a spare part. Kidney perhaps, blood transfusion." Can you imagine growing up to know that your own life was to be lived by your older brother just because you had the misfortune of being born after him and therefore were the spare to his own life, and that you were to make your own life available to the heir, your brother, even though you're born of the same parents and should really have the same opportunities. Let's dive into history to figure out how the role of the spare came about. The battle of the heir versus the spare has been in existence for centuries and was brought about by the War of Succession. A war of succession is a type of war concerning struggle for the throne, a conflict about supreme power in a monarchy. A succession war may arise after a monarch passes away without leaving any legal offspring. When the monarch passes away without leaving any legal offspring, several claimants who could be referred to as the spares stepped up in a bid to claim the throne. These claimants would have the ability to put themselves forward as contenders for the throne on the basis of their relationship to the deceased monarch. Sometimes this gave rise to conflict. After all options for a diplomatic solution had been exhausted, such as power sharing, a financial deal, or a quick elimination, aka assassination, a military confrontation would follow. In the modern age, however, the spare was less likely to usurp the position of the heir. This is because, for instance, in the UK, there has always been a law governing ascension to the throne called male preference primogeniture. This means that the oldest son of the previous monarch succeeds. However, it appears that the fears of ancient times regarding the role of the spare and the possible threat of challenge to the throne, which could come from the siblings, trickled down to present day. A perfect example is the relationship between Queen Elizabeth and her sister Margaret. It was well known that the heir would typically kill all his siblings on his way to the throne. The spare's life was used as a support to the heir, propping up the heir, and also a way of keeping the spare in their place so that they didn't think that they could pose a threat to the heirs. In the day of Queen Elizabeth and her sister, Princess Margaret, the Queen was positioned in the media as being the pious and dutiful Queen who could do no wrong, whereas her sister, Princess Margaret, was labelled the naughty, party-loving sister. The full details of her every indiscretion was splashed across the pages of the UK media. Well, does that sound familiar? Yeah, you guessed right. This is exactly what happened to Prince Harry. Obviously, this is just a summary, and there is a lot more to the story of the heir and the spare. I would refer you to a fellow YouTuber's YouTube channel called Henry VIII, where she goes into better detail and analysis. And if you prefer to read, I would also refer you to the Wikipedia page called The War of Succession, which describes the War of Succession and the impacts on the royal family. So, how did the media report on Prince Harry's description in the difference of the sizes between his side of the bedroom and Prince William's side of the bedroom? They said Prince Harry's jealousy of Prince William is made apparent in bombshell memoir. Prince Harry was upset that William got a bigger room than him at Balmoral when they were children. That is not at all what Prince Harry said. He just observed that his side of the room was smaller than Prince William's side of the room, and he just assumed that the reason for it was because Prince William was older than he was, and he had been told over and over, and probably shown in many other ways, that Prince William was going to be given preferential treatment because Prince William was the heir apparent to the throne, whereas he was just the spare. And so there was no need to probably waste time or money on him, because he may or might not be useful to the royal family. But we will come to see more of the trend of reporting from the UK media, which has been their main form of the smear campaign, which had been waged against Prince Harry since he stepped back as a senior member of the royal family. Alright, let's wrap up this video here. Head over to part 2 for more insights from the Prince Harry groomed to be the spare episode. Thanks for listening, and I'll